you ever feel like someone's just waiting for you to snap? She's not yelling, she's not arguing, she's just watching, quiet, waiting. That smirk she gave you after the last text, that silence after you poured your heart out, that feeling you get when you know, deep down, she wants to see you break. And the worst part is, you start wondering if you're going crazy for even thinking it. But you're not. Because sometimes people do want you to break. It gives them power. It validates their decision to leave or to hurt you, or to play games. When you lose your cool, when you beg, chase, rage, or sulk, they win. That reaction becomes their reward. And now, instead of being the strong, grounded man you are, you become a version of yourself you don't even recognize. But what if you didn't break? What if, instead, you just stood there, calm, grounded, and completely in control of your emotions? What if your silence wasn't weakness, but power? In this video, we're going to talk about exactly how to take that power back, and why Stoicism, real Stoicism, might just be your sharpest weapon when the world expects you to fold. Because staying calm when everything around you is chaos, that's when real strength shows up. Tell me in the comments. Has anyone ever tried to get a reaction out of you? And how did you handle it? Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you liked the video, so you can help me continue spreading Stoic philosophy. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do so and activate the bell so you don't miss any future videos on Stoicism, the psychology of breaking down. You might be wondering, why would someone want to see you break? Why would someone you once cared about, someone who claimed to care about you, actually hope to watch you fall apart? Here's the hard truth. Some people find power in your pain. It's not always conscious, but it happens. And it happens more than we admit. See, when you react emotionally, when you lash out, over-explain, argue, beg, spiral, you're giving them confirmation. Confirmation that they still affect you, that they still have control over your mood, that they still matter. And for some people, that reaction is everything, because the second you don't react, the second you hold your frame and stay calm and walk away with quiet dignity, they feel powerless. And that drives them crazy. Now look, I'm not saying everyone who walks away from you is toxic, but when someone keeps poking at you, when they push your buttons, say things they know will get under your skin, or disappear just to see if you'll chase, that's not love, that's control. And the way they get control is by making you feel out of control. They want the outburst, they want the late night text. They want you spiraling so they can sit back and say, see, look how unstable he is, look how much he still cares. But here's where Stoicism comes in, because Stoicism teaches you something that most people never learn. You are not your emotions. You're your response to those emotions. You can feel everything, confusion, pain, frustration, but you still get to choose how you act. Your reaction is the reward they're hoping for. But your calm is what drives them crazy. So when you feel it all bubbling up, the urge to text back, the need to defend yourself, the craving to prove your worth, take a breath and don't give them that satisfaction. Let me know below, when was the last time you refused to react, and how did it change the situation? Okay, so what does Stoicism actually look like in moments like this? Stoicism, holding the line. Let's talk about Stoicism, but not the cold robotic version people sometimes imagine. I'm talking about real Stoicism, the kind that teaches you how to stay solid, even when life tries to shake you. See, Stoicism isn't about pretending nothing hurts. It's not about becoming emotionless or walking around like some heartless statue. It's about this simple truth. You can't always control what happens, around you, but you can control how you respond. That's it, and honestly, and that alone can change your life. You get ghosted by someone you cared about. Instead of texting them 5 more times asking, "What happened?" you sit with it. You breathe. You remind yourself that how they treat you doesn't define your worth. That's Stoicism. You see her post something that's clearly meant to get under your skin. You know she wants a reaction. But instead of clapping back or posting something petty in return, you stay silent, you go to the gym, you move on with your day. That is Stoicism. Now, you don't have to quote Marcus Aurelius every time life punches you in the gut. But the man was onto something when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Because that's what Stoicism is really about. Not losing yourself when the world tries to make you forget who you are. Let me put it like this. You don't stop storms from happening, but you can be the mountain that doesn't move when the wind hits. And in relationships, especially the messy, emotional ones, that's a skill most people never develop. We're told to react, to prove a point, to win. But the Stoic doesn't play that game. The Stoic observes, feels the emotion, but doesn't let it run the show. He doesn't panic when she pulls away. He doesn't explode when things don't go his way. He stays steady because his value doesn't depend on someone else's behavior. Epictetus, another Stoic legend, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And that hits hard, because most of us spend our energy trying to change people or fix the situation, when really, all we had to do was change how we show up in it. So the next time you're tempted to fire off that emotional message, to post something just to get her attention, or to spiral into that "what did I do wrong" mindset, pause, breathe, and remind yourself. Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's about staying in control, especially when everything tries to pull you out of character. The more you can stand still in the storm, the more power you'll have. Not over her, but over yourself. And that's the kind of power no one can take from you. Let me tell you a real-life example. Let me tell you a story. His name doesn't matter. It could have been anyone. It could have been me. It could have been you. Let's call him James. James was in love, or at least he thought it was love. She was everything he wanted. Beautiful, unpredictable, addictive. And from the outside, they looked perfect. But behind the scenes, it was chaos. One day, she was all over him. The next, she was cold, distant. She'd disappear for days, post cryptic things online, then come back like nothing happened. And James, he was chasing, over-explaining, losing sleep, waiting on her texts like they were oxygen. He started to change. He'd check her socials every hour, type long messages and delete them, rehearse conversations in his head that never actually happened. She was never cruel, not directly, but every move felt like a test. And he kept failing. He was breaking. Then one night, something just snapped. Not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way, but quietly. James looked in the mirror, and he didn't like what he saw, not because of her, but because of him. He realized he'd handed her the power, and he didn't even notice when it happened. That's when he stumbled across a quote, simple, Stoic. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That line hit him like a punch, so he did something radical. He stopped reacting. He stopped checking her stories, stopped chasing closure, stopped trying to fix what clearly didn't want to be fixed. At first, she noticed. She reached out. She tested the silence. But James didn't fold, not because he was trying to be alpha or cold, but because he was finally choosing himself. And the wild part? That silence and that calm, that inner shift, it gave him back everything he thought he'd lost. His confidence, his clarity, his peace. He went from begging for her attention to mastering his silence. And here's what matters. He didn't win her back. He didn't need to, because he'd already won something way more powerful. His dignity, his emotional control, his freedom. And now, James doesn't need games, reactions, or validation to feel strong. He is strong because he chose to be. That's the power of Stoicism. Not in theory, but in practice. Drop a comment if you've ever had to rebuild yourself like this. And what helped you most? Here's what happens when you don't react. Here's something most people won't tell you. You don't always have to react. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove a point. And you definitely don't have to chase someone who's testing your patience or your peace. Because every time you react emotionally, you hand over your power. Let's say she posts a story with another guy, clearly timed right after you stop texting her. You know it's bait. You know it's meant to get a reaction out of you. And still, that itch starts building. Your mind races. Your stomach drops. You want to say something, anything. Even a petty emoji feels like relief. But here's the catch. The moment you take that bait, you confirm she still has control. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not about pretending it doesn't hurt. You're not a robot. You're a human being, and it does sting. But here's where Stoicism becomes your shield, because a Stoic doesn't pretend the fire isn't there. He just refuses to throw himself into the flames. She pulls away emotionally. You don't chase. You hold your frame. She says something passive-aggressive. You don't clap back. You respond with calm. Or you don't respond at all. She tries to guilt-trip you. You don't spiral. You observe it. You breathe. You stay centered. Why? Because your power is in your presence, not in your performance. You don't have to prove you're unfazed. You just have to be unfazed. And yeah, at first it'll feel unnatural. You might feel weak for walking away. You might think silence makes you look like you don't care. But let me tell you, calm is not weakness. It's discipline. It's what separates the man who's led by emotions from the man who leads them. Think of it like this. She's not testing your heart. She's testing your frame. Are you grounded or are you emotionally reactive? Because anyone can send a paragraph in the heat of the moment. But very few can stay quiet and focused when everything's screaming for a response. Every time you choose silence, you choose power. That doesn't mean avoid the truth. It means know when to speak, and when silence says it better. And trust me, sometimes your lack of reaction is the loudest message she'll ever hear. Now it's about you, not her. This is how you take your power back. So now the silence has settled, the chaos has passed, and you're left with one question: what now? This is where the story changes, because the real power move isn't silence alone. It's what you do in that silence. This isn't about her anymore. This is about you. It's about the man who's left standing after the storm, bruised maybe, but not broken. Now's the time you reclaim something far more valuable than a relationship: your direction, your energy, your identity. And here's where most guys mess up. They go silent on her, but they stay loud in their heads, still thinking about her, still checking her socials, still building imaginary conversations. That will never happen. That's not Stoicism. That's stagnation. Stoicism means moving forward with clarity, with purpose, with action. So here's what reclaiming your power actually looks like. You stop scrolling and start sweating. You hit the gym not to glow up for revenge, but because your body deserves strength, structure, and self-respect. You pick up that book you've been putting off. Not to distract yourself, but to grow yourself. You stop checking if she's watching and start living like you're the one worth watching. You invest your energy into projects, into skills, into your name, the one that's going to carry you for the next 40 years, not the last 4 months. Because let's be honest, chasing her doesn't make you a man. Building you does. You start surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, men who speak truth, not sugar, friends who push you out of comfort, not deeper into confusion. You stop asking, why did she leave? And start asking, why was I okay with staying that small? And slowly, without trying to show her or win her back, you win something bigger: peace. Self-respect, a solid, unshakable mindset that doesn't rise and fall with someone else's moods. Look, you're not here to impress people who don't value you. You're not here to chase validation in women who confuse games with affection. You're here to lead your own story. And real leadership starts with discipline. Discipline to wake up early, to say no to distractions, to not take the bait when someone tries to shake your peace, and most of all, to remember who the hell you are, even when the world tries to make you forget. That's what it means to reclaim your power, not with loud words, not with revenge, but with quiet focus. Stop trying to win her back. Start trying to win you back. This moment you're in right now, it's not punishment, it's potential. It's the fire that forges the version of you you've always wanted to become. And when you look back on this phase, you won't be proud of how loud you got. You'll be proud of how solid you became. You'll remember this not as the time she hurt you, but as the time you rose. Look at you now. This is where strength begins. Remember how this started. You just staring at your phone, heart racing, wondering if she even cared, feeling like you were one text away from losing it. Like she was standing there silently hoping you'd break, and maybe for a moment you almost did. But you didn't. You endorsed. You breathed. You chose not to give her that power, and that choice, and as small as it might have felt, was everything. You didn't scream. You didn't chase. You didn't crumble. You stood still. You sat with your pain. You remembered who you were before she entered your life, and who you're becoming now that she's no longer steering it. That's Stoicism, not some ancient philosophy locked in dusty books, but a living force inside of you that shows up every time you decide to act with calm instead of chaos. And listen, you're not done. This journey you're on, it's not about proving anything to her. It's about finally showing up for you. You're no longer reacting from the wounds of who she left behind. You're moving with the clarity of the man who's rising. So hold the line. Keep building. Keep choosing peace over panic, and purpose over pain. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You've already started taking that power back. Now, don't stop. If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future insights on Stoicism.